Every year, America honors those who have fought for our country with a day of respect and gratitude. This year, we have taken time to put together a video for those veterans.
My name is Craig Hauser. I go by Jeff. Everyone knows me by Jeff. I was a W-1. I was a Warrant Officer 1, which is what you are when you get out of flight school and you're awarded your wings.
What war did you serve?
Vietnam. I was there in 70 and 71. The United States sent the first advisors to Vietnam in 1950. Most Americans did not know where Vietnam was or had even heard of it until the 60s. It's important to me that people attempt to understand, but I fully understand that unless you've been there and served, you can't understand. You know, veterans don't want sympathy, we would just like understanding.
Veterans Day is a special day. It's a good reminder that the sacrifices you've made, that people do appreciate that. But I think more than that for veterans, it reminds you of good memories, bad memories you had in service, and it reminds you of people that you served with. And then the people that came before you. There's a real big feeling in the military of being part of a chain of people that have come before you and will come after you. So it's a good reminder of that.
So what I was saying is, I came back pretty much in one piece. A lot of guys didn't. A lot of guys didn't come back at all. So we would just like the nation to recognize that sacrifice and that service. And most people who didn't serve or are not serving really can't imagine that. Their families can. I'm sure it was very difficult for my mother the year that I was over there. Yeah, we'd like it to be recognized. I always thought we ought to be out of school on Veterans Day. I mean, for young people to really try to see some importance in it. I mean, we're out for various other, you know, so-called vacations for this, that, and the other, whether it's President's Day or whatever it is. So I'm glad that, especially here locally, Rushville does a lot to recognize.
I've always felt very respected. People, if you're out in public and you've got your uniform on, people come up and want to thank you for your service. I've had countless times where people have paid for my meal without me knowing it. You know, went to pay my bill and somebody already had taken care of it. So I really feel like we're lucky in the day we live in that people appreciate military service.
Yes, I was in the armed services. I served with the United States Army from 1968 to 1970. Served one tour in Vietnam. My brother is also a veteran of the Vietnam War. He was in the Air Force. He served one tour in Vietnam also. I'm proud to have served, and I think every day that we have a country we can live in.
It means a lot because they're protecting our rights as citizens. They're doing stuff and signing up for things that a lot of people wouldn't sign up for, and risking their lives at the expense of their loved ones and for us. So thank you to all of our veterans, active military.
You know, I would say on my second deployment, you know, I was the commander of a target acquisition battery, a radar unit, and so to learn each and every guy's story within your unit and then feel responsible for getting them overseas and getting them back and all the pressure that is. And we had 30,000 people that lived on the bases we were protecting from rocket attacks, and to go through that and not have any casualties as a result of rocket fire or mortars, that was a big success.
Veterans Day is important to me. I've had quite a few relatives who served in the armed forces, specifically my grandparents. I think a lot about my grandfather, who was a Navy Seabee in World War II. He served in the South Pacific, and I always enjoyed listening to his stories of the war, while some were quite intense, but he enjoyed telling stories of the things he did in terms of building bases and airstrips on islands in the South Pacific, and the time he spent in New Guinea. And listening to a lot of his stories inspired me to travel a lot more and actually to go out and see the world.
Well, it's hard. I think in a lot of ways that's the hardest point of being deployed, because you don't know what's going on back home. They don't know what's happening for you, and especially when you've got young kids, you're missing out on a lot of things, birthdays and just everyday special events. So yeah, being away from your family is the hardest thing.
Kind of hard to not be able to, see someone that's so important in your life for that long. My relationship with my dad, and how I've, how good of a father he's been, and really makes me appreciate the time he wasn't able to be there. How much I really needed him. And so I think it represents a lot of, kind of the sacrifice that, veterans and their families have to make. And I think it's good that we are able to celebrate it and really kind of recognize why it's so important.
Actually being a part of, like, knowing the Taliban were shooting at us and they knew where we were, and then we were training guys to shoot back at them, and being a part of, like, actually being on the front edge of it and knowing that we were making a difference and taking the fight to the enemy, like, that was very fulfilling.